I'm NewsNation senior national correspondent Brian Enten, and every week I'll take you behind the scenes of my life on the road, working on the stories that you care about the most. Here's where I'll share all the great interviews that don't make the final cut and tell you the stories behind what you're seeing on NewsNation every day. It's all part of the puzzle I'm putting together to keep you informed. This is Enten Across America. Hey everybody, this is Brian. I hope you're having a good week. It's been an interesting week for me. It's been like one of those weeks where I've been reflecting a lot and sort of thinking a lot, mainly about Gabby Petito, because it's the 2-year mark since Gabby Petito's body was found in Grand Teton National Park. If you follow me, you probably already know the situation with Gabby, but for those of you that don't, Gabby Petito was a beautiful young woman who went on this road trip with her boyfriend, Brian Laundrie. And, they were supposed to be on this incredible trip together. And he ended up murdering her and then disappearing. And then he was later found dead. He had killed himself. So the 2-year mark now, 2 years have gone by since Gabby was found, and I just want everybody to reflect on that for a minute, because if you follow me and if you're in the true crime space, this is a case that's probably really near and dear to your heart too. I'm close to Gabby's parents now because I covered the case so extensively, and I know this has been a tough week for them. But I just wanted to remind everyone, because Gabby was missing for quite some time before she was found, and everyone was looking for her, and it really exposed me to how many missing people there are out there, and it also exposed Gabby's family to that issue, and so many missing people don't get the coverage they deserve. And it was Gabby's case that inspired us at NewsNation to start this missing series. So we do a missing story every single week. It's not just like a little story, like we interview the family, we go find out, what happened when the person went missing, and we try to bring attention to cases that aren't really getting coverage because there's so many missing people. Marnie Hughes, one of our anchors, excuse me, at NewsNation, and then producer Paige, who you may follow on Twitter too. She's one of my best buddies. They put that together every week. But, that was born out of the Gabby Petito story. We realized when we were done covering Gabby and it ended so tragically that we didn't want to just move on. So we've been covering these missing cases at NewsNation every week. They're all on our website. You can also submit if you know someone who's missing that you want us to profile. And on Twitter, sort of in memory of Gabby with the 2-year mark, I also tweeted out, if you want to check out my Twitter, 10 other cases with pictures. People have gone missing all over the country, again, that just aren't getting the coverage they deserve. So I've been reflecting on a lot this week in terms of Gabby's case, how it changed me as a person and a reporter. I mean, I wasn't really into true crime or really part of this community until I started covering the situation with Gabby. And that story changed me as a person and changed who I am as a journalist and changed a lot of my priorities in terms of what I cover. I never really covered missing people until that case. So I've just been thinking about that this week a lot. And also thinking about her and her family. They're going to be at CrimeCon this weekend. I'm going to also be there. And they're going to be on a panel, and it's important to them not only to have people remember Gabby, but to make sure that her legacy includes, changing laws when it comes to domestic violence, and also, excuse me, I have something in my throat, and also making sure that more people are aware of missing people that don't get the attention they deserve, especially minorities and missing men. Missing men don't get a lot of coverage, so we made a pact to take that seriously at NewsNation, and I'm really proud that we've kept it, because a lot of other media outlets just sort of moved on after the Gabby case, and I'm glad that we tried to do something important, and that was born out of Gabby's story. So I've been thinking about that this week. I'm looking forward to CrimeCon this weekend. I'm obviously going to see the Petitos there. I hope if you guys are listening to this, you can come by. If you're in the Orlando area. We'll all be there this weekend. I'm giving a speech on Saturday about crime reporting. We're also going to have a booth at the convention. You can come by, you can say hi to us, hang out. We'll be there all weekend. So that'll be really nice. So just wanted to mention that since it was the 2-year mark. I felt like that was important. But moving on, there's this other really awful story that I've been covering for the last couple of days. If you've been watching NewsNation, if you've been watching Banfield, you've probably seen it. There was these 2 teenagers in a car in Las Vegas, and they are live streaming as they intentionally hit a bicyclist, an older man, a 64-year-old man. His name's Andy Probst, a former police chief, an avid bicyclist, a dad, just on his morning ride. This guy went on his bike rides in the morning, and you see this disturbing video. I mean, I can't even begin to explain how disturbing it is. And in a way, I'm like, don't go look at it. But at the same time, I tweeted the video with a warning because I do think people need to see it because it's just a sign of the times. But these 2 teens think it's like a prank to go and basically run over this guy. That's what they're accused of doing, and it's on video. And just they laugh in the video when they do it. One of the kids said something like, hit his ass. And it's just so disturbing. And this man died. His daughter spoke at a news conference. I mean, this man had a family. And it just got me thinking about, like, what is wrong with our society today? What is wrong with young people that do this? What has gone wrong in their life to cause them to do this? Like, I remember when I was a teenager, I would do what I called ring and run with my friends, where in the neighborhood we would go and we would ring a doorbell and run away. And that felt so wrong. And like, I remember getting in trouble, and I felt like that was a really naughty prank. And now there's kids today running people over. I mean, my God. So I want you to listen. I talked to a investigative reporter, Vanessa Murphy. She works for our NewsNation affiliate, KLAS in Vegas. She's been covering that story really intently, going to the court hearings with these, I want to say kids, but they're teenagers. And listen to what she had to tell me about it. KLAS news reporter Vanessa Murphy. Vanessa was in court this morning when one of those teens was before a judge. And I know, Vanessa, when you cover juvenile court, it's tricky. It's not like normal court because you can't video the kids, and they're very careful about releasing names. But you were still there. You were able to get into that courtroom. Tell us what it was like. What did the teenager look like? Did he look remorseful? Take us inside that courtroom.
Hi, Brian. Yeah, both teens were in court, but they were in separate courtrooms. I wasn't able to get inside the courtroom with the accused passenger. I was in the courtroom with the teen who's accused of being the driver in that video. He appeared virtually from a juvenile detention center. There was a hearing master who confirmed he did not want us to use the teen's name at this time. He did not let us bring our camera in the courtroom. The teen didn't have much of an expression. His mother was there with a Spanish interpreter. This is the hearing where the teen learned he will no longer be in juvenile court. He is heading to adult jail and adult court. He will be facing that murder charge. Both of the teens are expected to face that murder charge.
Okay, so you saw the driver. It's interesting they're now going to go to adult court, so we'll maybe get a mugshot, get the name, be able to actually see video of who these teenagers are. You mentioned a mother. I mean, what was the mom's reaction to all of this? I just keep thinking about the parents. I mean, I don't want to blame them, but at the same time, there had to be more to this, other issues in these kids' lives. I mean, what was the mom like?
Well, we had done some digging previously, and we learned that this teen has a lengthy criminal record in the juvenile system. Yeah. So she exited the courtroom, went to the parking lot, tried to talk with her. She seemed remorseful. I asked her how her son got to this point. She said that she was sorry. She doesn't know how. In a later conversation with another one of our reporters who followed up in Spanish, she said she was embarrassed to speak with me. She doesn't know what happened here, and how could God forgive what happened?
I mean, in a sense, I feel for that mom, but then you say lengthy criminal record, and that's new reporting. I haven't heard that yet. And it's like no surprise. I mean, these things don't just happen in a vacuum, Vanessa. You've been digging into it. I mean, is there any more detail you can provide? Do we know any more about the previous crimes?
The records are sealed, but we do know this isn't just a 1 or 2 time thing. He is very familiar in the juvenile system here. Many things on his record, but now he's not going to be in the juvenile system anymore. I will say I saw some sort of tattoo on his face from juvenile detention center. Again, they appear virtually, or at least he did. There was some sort of tattoo. I couldn't make out exactly what it was, but his mother was there. Brian, some of these kids are there. They have no one showing up for them. I was at a court appearance on September 11th for him, an earlier court appearance. We were allowed to have our camera there, but we had to blur his face when we showed that video. At that time, both his mother was there and his sister.
It's interesting you say tattoo on the face, because I think that's why I'm so happy you were able to come on and you were in the courtroom. You know, we think kids, we think juvenile, but I mean, this kid has got a tattoo on his face and apparently a lengthy criminal record, and you just have to wonder, did the system fail here? I'm going to be very interested when we find out, and hopefully we will, what those other charges were, and should he have been locked up already. What about the other family of the passenger? I know you didn't see him in court, but have you been able to talk to his family at all?
Did some digging. I tracked down his mother. I called her. She initially hung up on me. She was asking how I got her information. I explained that's my job to get her information. But again, she hung up on me. I sent a text message to follow up, and then she sent me a text message saying she wouldn't comment, but she did comment. And let me read this to you. She said, "With all due respect, my family is in awe right now. We are not making any statements or addressing any accusations without our legal team. My son's side of the story will be told, quote, the truth, not the social media version or inaccuracies the media will try to portray." Then she said, "Thank you."
I mean, well, look, I mean, innocent until proven guilty, but at the same time, we've all got the video, we've all seen the video, and it's going to be very interesting to see what the records are when you're able to get your hands on those. It's not easy with the juvenile, so you've been doing really great work, Vanessa Murphy. Thank you for joining us tonight from Las Vegas.
Thank you.
Okay, I want to bring in Phil Ramos. He is a retired Las Vegas homicide detective, 33 years on the force there, so he knows the system well there. First of all, Phil, like, what do you make of this? I mean, you were there for 3 decades. We've never seen anything like this. What's your reaction? How's Las Vegas reacting to this?
You know, everybody's pretty much in shock, Brian. Thanks for having me, by the way. When I saw this video, I was just disgusted. I ride that very route myself 3 or 4 times a week, and I recognize the area, and I saw where he was going, and I'm in that very same spot. But, you know, the level of depravity that it took to commit this, it speaks a lot to the people who did this. You know, the driver, number one, they switched places later, and then you know, you touched on it earlier, their behavior has to be explained to some extent, but it starts at home. They're not raised like this. It starts at home, and that's where it goes wrong, and they just spiral out of control, especially at this age. To commit a crime like this, so heinous, at this age. I'm not surprised about the tattoos on the face, and I'm not surprised about the lengthy juvenile history.
Yeah, I found that so interesting, the tattoo on the face, and then what Vanessa was able to report, that there's a long criminal history with at least one of these guys, the driver. And I've covered these cases in juvenile court where these kids get a slap on the wrist for violent crimes, and we don't know what his are yet, but it's long, Vanessa said, the rap sheet. They get a slap on the wrist, and this isn't just like, you know, stealing a candy bar. I mean, these kids do awful things, and they get right back out because they're juveniles. I mean, how do we fix that, Phil?
You know, that's a tough question, because everybody wants to not coddle, but go much easier on youthful offenders. But by the time they get this age, it's too late to try and rehabilitate them in the new age way that everybody's trying to do right now. That doesn't work. I mean, these charges, I'm sure, involve violent crimes, serious property crimes. Once a teenager has gotten to the level of criminal behavior that these two guys got, that's pretty much the way they're going to live the rest of their lives. And hopefully these two will be living that life in prison.
And we heard the statement from the family of, I believe it was the passenger, saying, essentially don't listen to the media, the truth will prevail. Is there any chance, Phil, that, could it be the wrong kids that they arrested? Or I say kids, we know these aren't kids anymore. They're, 17 years old or so. But could they maybe have gotten the wrong one based on that family statement? Or do you think that maybe it's like the parents are in denial? Or what do you make of that?
Yeah, absolutely. These are the guys 100%. There's no doubt about that. The evidence is there. It's overwhelming. The families are reacting like families do. When their kids get in trouble, oh, no, that's not my son. That's not my daughter. They couldn't possibly do something like that. But the reality is going to hit them as soon as the proceedings start and all the evidence is revealed, because there's going to be much more evidence come forward as a result of this investigation. And I can tell you, my former coworkers in there are relentless, and they're going to dig up every piece of evidence that they can to document the authenticity of that video, number one, that they were the ones in that vehicle, number two, and that there was also another series of incidents, criminal incidents, that happened before Mr. Probst was hit and killed.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, especially when it moves to adult court, where we'll be able to see the records and hear exactly what's going on. It won't be so secretive. Phil Ramos, thank you so much for being with us tonight. We appreciate it. Okay, I want to get to Darby Fox. She is a child and adolescent family therapist. Darby, again, I don't know what to make of this big picture here. Like, obviously, this is worse than a lot of things we've seen involving teenagers, but there's so many other things too. It's like they don't have a regard for human life. To laugh, what's happening? How do you explain this?
So, Brian, that is true. I think that these two guys in particular, we could go ahead and say are have some kind of pathological disorder, or we would call it antisocial personality disorder, whether that be a psychopath or, sociopath. It doesn't really matter. There is something that is disconnect. And I would think that we look back at their backgrounds, their family, something was missing. Typically, people that can go this far, especially at age 17, feel like they kind of are owed something by the world, and that they're going to go ahead and go forward with this. There's no empathy. It's really aggressive. There's no remorse. This level of disconnect is something that's pretty pathological.
Yeah, and I know it's a complicated question. It can't be easy to answer, but what causes teenagers to be like this? Is it like video games? Is it the violent movies? Is it just that, maybe the parents are absent? How does it get to a point where they would think killing someone and hitting them with the car is funny?
So I think, Brian, it's a combination of those things. And the research really tells us that a lot of the video games, even the violent ones, don't tend to lead towards criminal behavior with the regular population. So let's be clear about that. That's with healthy kids in a warm environment where they can walk away from it. That's what the research tells us. But for people like this, there's a real connection, and it also kind of gives them an idea. Let's try that. Can we get away with that? They're not really operating in a day-to-day world, in a family environment where we're accountable. We don't, swear at our mom. We go to school. We abide by those social rules. They really don't conform to social norms. And that's where we see the parents definitely. What it is, was the mom absent? Was she working all the time and really wasn't there? Was there abuse? There's something in that background in the home that would create this kind of depravity. It's hard to say exactly,
something for sure,
but something definitely in the home.
It's just, I still can't wrap my mind around trying to think of what would cause a teenager to do this. Even when we go cover the shootings on the streets and it's teens involved, it's like they just pull the trigger and they don't realize like that there's a human life on the other end. It's awful. Darby Fox, thank you for trying to help us understand it. We appreciate you coming on tonight.
Thank you.
So again, just a really, really disturbing story. We're going to stay on it. NewsNation has been all over it. It's been interesting. A lot of other media hasn't really covered it that much, and I'm not sure why. But we're going to stay on it. We'll make sure that we have someone at these court appearances involving these teenagers who are accused and see the way all that plays out. But my heart goes out to the victim's family. Again, I know he has a daughter. She spoke at one of the news conferences. It's just a tragic situation. So that's the update on that. Again, hopefully I'll see many of you at CrimeCon this weekend. I've never been to CrimeCon, by the way, so I don't really know what to expect, but I'm excited that so many experts are going to be there. I mean, it sounds kind of funny when you say CrimeCon. It sounds almost like a joke, but it's actually serious, apparently, and I'll learn more this weekend because there's all sorts of experts from different, parts of the crime community. And then there's a lot of victims that come from, from cases that you've heard of. Again, the Petitos will be there. So I look forward to meeting everybody this weekend, and hopefully I'll see you soon. Thanks for spending some time with me. To see what I'm up to next, make sure to tune into NewsNation. And if you don't know where to watch us, just go to www.joinnn.com. You drop in your zip code right there on the channel finder, and it'll show you the broadcast channel we're on in your area. And don't forget, we're on all the streamers too: Hulu, Roku, YouTube TV, and we're also on Amazon Alexa and Apple CarPlay. If you have a story you think that I need to know about, then just hit me up on Twitter. I check all my DMs. You can find me there. And I'll catch you next time on NewsNation's Enten Across America.